everyone, it's Marie at Tatisoap, and today instead of making soap, I'm going to show you how I make some of my little boxes to put my soap in. They're very simple, and I make them with my Silhouette Cameo, so I can't take all the credit for it, but I did do my own template. And they're just very simple sliding boxes, just like matchboxes. Oh, I can't talk anymore. And I've only started. Anyways, I use scrapbooking paper for the base and just regular cardstock for the sleeve. And you can make them any size you want. And then once you're done, this is how I actually wrap my soap. I put my label on the front, label on the back. This is the little box. And what I do is I put the ribbon on the underside and then tie it on top, so you can't actually tamper evident. You can't open the box. I mean, that's, you know, if you want the people to be able to open the box and look at the soap, you can just tie your ribbon across the top of your, you know, pass it on top or just glue it on top, whatever. But I just thought this was kind of a nice little idea. And then I add the name of my company here in cutout. And so depending on the color that you use for your bottom and the color that you use for the sleeve, you can have some nice contrast there. So instead of showing you right on the video on my computer with the program running, because the camera doesn't pick up the computer without making all these color and wavy patterns, it's kind of difficult to see, so I just thought I'd show you how I put it together and what kind of template I designed. So, as I said, the first thing I do is I select some scrapbooking paper. This is 12 by 12, and usually one sheet will do one box. And then for my, excuse my arms here as I reach over, and then this is just regular cardstock for the sleeve. And again, you can do it any color. This one is a little bit stiffer than the bottom, and it just seems to work quite well. So here I've got my template all cut up, and on this side I kind of written in, or I did the lines where I used perforations. So as you can see, it's I don't know, can you see? Let me just, oops, go back a little bit. Photography is not my forte, but you can see the basic shape of the template. It's got two long sleeves on the end, and then two shorter bits on the other end. So how I started with my measurements, quite easy. The first thing is in the middle. The central square is the dimension of my soap. For this box, my soaps measure 3 inch this way and 2 1/4 inch this way. So in my Cameo, on my template, I start out with a rectangle with those dimensions. This part here, this area, is for one of the sides of the box. And I wanted the side to be 1 1/2 inch high, so this measures 1 1/2 inch. I repeated the same thing here, the same dimensions, because this is going to fold this way over that here. So these two sections had to be the same dimension. And then this little flap is going to end up resting on the bottom of the box. And so I made it just short enough to fit nicely here, and also because I wanted to avoid going right to the end of my paper, I just made, I'm not sure, this is probably about 1 inch. This measurement here, these will be on this side of the box, like that. I don't know if you can see that. And so this needs to measure less than that. You don't want it longer than that, but you want it a fair ways. So I did about over half less than the full length, so maybe like 3/4 of the length is this. These ends I made as long as I could, almost to the edge of the paper. And again, this is going to fold up this way and down again over this bit that's going to be folded in, and then it's going to rest on the bottom of the box. Okay, so, and then the bottom, of course, this bit is the same as the top bit. So you end up with, you can see something a little bit like that. When I made my cuts, if you notice that here, this is a straight cut, right to the base of the soap. Everything else, oh, and on this side as well, everything else, all of these dotted lines, they're all perforated cuts that I've done with the Cameo. And the perforation allow you to fold quite easily on the perforation, and yet it prevents you from actually, it doesn't cut it off totally. Of course, if you tear it off, it will be easier to tear, but the perforations make it very easy to fold. So to assemble this, I just basically fold along all the edges with the perforated lines. This one goes up here. And so as you can see, there's one edge of the box. This will go here, actually fold along that, and fold along that, and that will fold like that. Okay. Before I finish making this up into the bottom of the box, let me show you the other template that I have done. So this is a rectangular piece. It has a cutout with the name, and I've again done. Let me see. I've did dotted lines along the areas that I used as a perforated line. Again, these are going to allow me to fold my box sleeve like so, and so, and so, and assemble it like that. Pretty simple. Now the measurements that I used are again the size of the bottom, with about 1/8 of an inch bigger, because it has to fit, the sleeve has to fit over the bottom of the box, and it has to slide fairly easily. So you've got to allow for about 1/8 of an inch more around the circumference of the sleeve. Circumference of the sleeve, that makes no sense. But I think you understand what I mean, is that this length here on the sleeve needs to be slightly bigger than this length on the bottom. And then the last part is I made just a square cutout like this to put on the bottom, kind of reinforce it that way. Now let me tell you a little bit about the text, the font that I used for the cutout. If you can see here, if you look at the D, for example, you see that the shape of the D is cut out, but the middle, there's this little bit in the middle of cardboard or cardstock that is hanging in there, so that you can very clearly see that that's a D. And you have to make sure that you use a font that doesn't go all the way around. For example, if you had a font that was like this, for example. Okay. Here's a D. It's kind of an ugly D, but it's a D. When the Cameo cuts out the outside, along the outside, the whole inside is going to fall out. You're not going to have anything for this inside bit of cardboard to hang on to. You're just going to have a big hole in the kind of a semicircle in the shape of the D. So you're not going to have the detail of the letters. So play with the fonts and choose one that will allow you to have these little bits of inside sticking to the outside of the cardboard or cardstock so that it will look a little bit better. Okay, so back to our box. So I've folded the first side of it. I do the same on the other side. So I fold that end. Again, just along the oops, this one goes that way. Okay. So as you can see, this will stay on the bottom. These are folded to make the sides, like that. And what I do is I tuck one of these edges inside the other one, like that. And then I do the same on the other side. And I'm a little bit finicky, where you really don't have to do that. It makes no difference. But if the side coming off of this side is on top, then I alternate it on this side, and I make this one be on top and the other one inside. But really, it doesn't matter. Now, I don't know if you've noticed that I did not make any perforations on this side, even though I will need to fold it. And that's because I need a little bit more than 1.5 inches to be able to go over these edges, these folds. And so when I tried with the perforations at 1.5 inch, at 1.5 plus 1/8 and whatnot, and then I never got it bang on where the perforation of this would match exactly on top here. So I just left them off, and I just do it by feel. So I just fold this up, and then I just fold it wherever it meets the top, and then inside I just tuck it inside here and leave it like that. Now sometimes this falls apart, so just put it back together. And so we're going to do again. What I like about this little box is that you kind of don't have to use glue. You can if you want, but you don't have to. They do sort of, whoops, I just kicked the camera and I did it again. They sort of stand up by themselves, but just for reinforcement, what I do is I will take my thing with the D. Let's turn it on this side. I'm going to put some glue on here and then glue this on the bottom. So that's going to hold all my paper in together. I'm just going to put some tape on here. So I usually do it in an X. Whoops. And just glue that on the bottom, like that. So we have our little box bottom. To assemble the top, the sleeve, again, we just fold it along all our perforations. And I'm going to put some glue on the inside here. Again, I like these ribbons. They're really kind of neat. Actually, I'm going to put one on here as well. Like that. Line up the edges, like so, and just press it in. And if you want, you can put some Scotch tape on the inside if you want to keep it more secure. And I got some glue stick. And then we've got the sleeve. And then, magically, the sleeve goes into, or the box, the bottom, goes into the sleeve. And then we've got our box. They are fairly easy to do and assemble. As you can see, they're very quick. The longest part of the making is actually getting the Cameo to cut each sheet and the cutouts and the lettering. But what I do is I set one cutting, and while it's cutting, I'm assembling the one previously, and then when I'm done assembling it, I take the one that's just been cut, I set another one in for cutting, and then I just continue that way. And I mean, they're fairly quick, and they're kind of nice. So there you go. And like I showed you before, I finished them up this way with label, and you can do any type of finishing you want. You can even do one where you do the sleeve and you have a hole or a window, so that if you want people to be able to see the soap inside, you can do that. It's very versatile. I quite like my Cameo. I'm certainly not using it to its full potential, but the more I play with it, the more I discover things to do with it. So thank you for watching, and till next time. Bye.